This is Minecraft, and I, Mono Aurelio, am on a journey to kill the Ender Dragon with just a stick. Let's get right into the dragon beating shenanigans. I created a new world where I spawned on an island more desolate than my DMs. Since there's a lot that I need to accomplish before the first night, I wasted no time and got straight to work. The first thing I needed to do was create the most important item for this video, the stick. So I gathered up the best wood in the game and used it to make the stick that I'd soon use to commit a new type of animal hate crime. I also made some stone tools, a furnace, and a boat so I could sail off to find a suitable place to build my base. I made it to the next island over and found a cave while searching the surrounding area. So I made some torches and went on to find any valuable resources. It was here where I found absolutely nothing because this cave turned out to be shorter than the lifespan of a diabetic fruit fly. Yeah, caves and cliffs my ass, Mojang. I continued my search to find the perfect spot to build my base. While on my search, I murdered a group of new wave feminists and ended up finding another cave to explore. It was here where I found absolutely nothing again. Caves and cliffs update my ass. Things were looking pretty horrible for me. Night was approaching and I was still broke, naked, homeless, and worst of all, Filipino. I decided to fix my issue of being a US veteran by building shelter. I started out by cutting down trees and using planks to make the walls, but ran out of wood soon after that. So I went out to get more logs, but ran into my first real adversary, anorexic Legolas. Besides my primitive stone axe, I had no real way to defend myself. So I did some calculations, realized I'm bad at math, souped up in the magical caffeinated broth known as grape nos, and came to the conclusion that there was only one viable solution: running away like a little bitch. I ran into my base but ended up attracting another vengeful cluster of calcium, so I strategically left the door open and took care of the bony bitches one at a time. I finished building my house and framed my special stick. I then decided to strap on my black Air Force Ones and break one of the universal rules of Minecraft: go mining at night. Right when I found a cave that seemed to be deeper than the Call of Duty Zombies lore, I got ambushed by some creepers. I Lion King'd one of them and the other self-destructed in the water like Uncle Jimmy when he took his first toaster bath. I then swam down the waterfall and finished off the rest of the mobs so that I could finally explore nothing. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. Okay, in order to progress the game at this point, I need to find iron. Caves and cliffs! Lucky for me, I eventually found a decently deep cave and got to exploring. I ended up finding 2 pieces of iron, and I used them to build one of the most OP items in the game, the shield. With it, I'm able to block damage from all attacks, basically making me more unkillable than Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. While I cooked my food, I decided to check my surroundings in order to avoid the catastrophe that happened earlier. It was here where I found a possible problem. Problem solved. I then went on to God damn it. I destroyed the remains of Cameron Boyd and acquired a pretty decent bow from him. Nearby, I find an open pit with a lot of mobs crawling around. I tried making my way down, but ended up falling off harder than rice gum. Although the situation looked pretty bad, I reacted quickly and lit up the area like an American in an elementary school zone so that no mobs would spawn. From here, I took down the mobs one by one with axe crits crispier than Zuko's face. And before y'all get mad at me, just know there's 2 names off the top of my head that I could have pulled out to piss y'all off even more. I'll loot the iron in the cave and I eventually get enough iron to make a pick, a bucket, and a full set of iron armor. I return to the surface and head over to the lava pool next to my base. I then made a nether portal and used it to travel to one of the most horrible places you could ever end up in: California. After taking a good look around, I decided the best course of action from here is to run away like a little bitch. I personally still don't feel comfortable running around in the nether without diamond armor and a large stack of food. Yeah, go ahead and say whatever the fuck y'all want. I ain't Dream. I don't touch kids. I beat them. Anyways, I decided to go cave mining for diamonds, which ended up being about as effective as tying a noose on a sapling and waiting for it to grow. Even though I barely found any diamonds, I did manage to loot other valuable resources like iron and gold. But both of these resources are nowhere near as valuable as my subscribers, which, if you haven't already, you should go ahead and drop that sexy little finger of yours on that sub button. You already made it this far into the video, so I know you don't have many brain cells left to reason with yourself and say no. All jokes aside, it seriously helps me out as a creator when you sub, like, and even comment, so I'd heavily appreciate if you could just do one of those things for me. In return, I'll do my best to deliver high-quality, enjoyable videos right to your screen. And I'll give you head. Now, up until this point, I've been surviving solely off of the innocent flesh of clueless livestock. Not that anything's gonna change. I need my protein just as much as the Mongolian slaves in my basement need water. But right now, meat is a pretty valuable resource, so I'm gonna need something more renewable, something fresh and easy to make: glizzy holders. So I made a wheat farm. I also took this time to make an anvil so I could rename my stick to The Stick. Yeah, y'all should know by now that I have the creativity of a white girl who wants to start an OnlyFans. While I wait for my wheat to grow, I'm gonna go ahead and do some off-screen grinding. So I'm gonna cut right here and be right back. So the off-screen grinding went pretty well. I got a shit ton of diamonds, ended up beating the Ender Dragon 7 times, had sex with your mother, and won the Nobel Prize for finding out who was in Paris. So that's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm kidding! I only ended up doing one of those things off screen. Your mother. Now, before I return to California, I want to gather up some livestock for later. So I grabbed some wheat and led them on like Allie did to me back in the summer of 2020. Yeah, fuck you, Allie. Never forgiven and never forgotten. But enough about the roots of my misogyny. It was time for me to return to California. My goal here is to find the California National Guard and steal blaze rods so that I could begin making my Eyes of Ender. However, I forgot I was in blood territory and immediately got jumped by ripping the crypt colors. I tried to escape but ended up getting cornered in an alley. So I fought off the bloods and escaped. I now comprehend that I'm in more danger than a cat in the presence of an Asian Shane Dawson. So I begin to play it much safer, taking care of threats before they become problems and dashing around before... I had to act fast or all would be lost to lava. I was lucky enough to climb out of the fiery pool and barricade myself in cobblestone. However, I still ended up catching that Notre Dame tragedy. I did end up getting the exact coordinates for my body though, so I suited up and went on to salvage my equipment. First thing I need to do is figure out what door- fuck! Attempt number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Now that I know which direction I need to go, fuck! At this point, I was stressing hard. Not only was I getting absolutely demolished like a small white girl on a black leather couch, but I knew my time was running out. If I didn't make it to my items soon, they'd end up going out for cigarettes like Amaranth's father. But unlike him, I didn't give up. I juiced up on more caffeine, made an axe and a pickaxe with the last of my iron, and got straight to work. I ran back to my last death point and fought to reclaim my iron armor. After overwhelmingly winning the fight, I suit back up and dash to my original death cords. I make it to my death hole and carefully dig my way down to reclaim my loot. After sorting my items, I got back to the original task of finding another fortress, but I instead end up coming across a bastion. I tried to explore it, but end up getting jumped by Black Air Force Energy, the Minecraft mob. If you guys don't already know about these mobs, let me give you the quick rundown. You see, these big brawling pieces of pork and ungodly hate will attack you even if you're wearing gold. On top of that, they wield axes, which means they can break your shield like a Donkey Kong side B in Super Smash Bros. So yeah, in short, running into one of these guys means the same thing as dropping the soap in prison. You're fucked. However, I'm built different. There's one strategy I have left in my arsenal that I can use to fight the Piglin Brute while keeping him at bay. Spam clicking like a little bitch, because we all just saw what happens when you run around in the Nether. I survive the encounter and immediately leave the bastion. And after traveling just a little bit further, I finally found another fortress. I make my way to the blaze spawner and grind on rods, grind out rods, grind rods. Now content with the amount of rods I have, I make my way back to home base. We're getting pretty close to recreating a peaceful protest outcome with the Ender Dragon, but I'm still missing one major material: Ender testicles. But before I can commit unconsensual vasectomies on these off-brand Siren Head stick bitches, I'm gonna need to upgrade my equipment to the max. And how are we gonna do that? With netherite and enchanting. I first made an enchantment table with some of the spare materials I had lying around, but in order to get the best enchantments the game has to offer, I'm gonna need 15 bookshelves, which means I'm gonna need 45 books, which means I'm gonna need a shit ton of paper and leather, which means I have so much grinding I need to do that it's not even funny. But fear not, beautiful viewer. You need not to suffer through the grind with me, because I have a quick trick for times like these. What trick, you say? Now that I have 15 bookshelves, I enchanted all my armor and made my way back to the Nether for these angsty iron ingots, which means another long, painful grind is ahead of me. I'll be right back. I'm finally back with all the equipment I'll need to fight off the Enderman without suffering multiple skill issues. Let's waste no time and get straight to work. Instead of waiting for nighttime to roll around, I just head straight to the Nether and camp out in the warped forest. It was here where I gathered enough Ender nuts to breed an entire country and returned home to finally make the Eyes of Ender. Beautiful viewers, it is now time to find the stronghold and scrap with Minecraft's signature giant flying emo lizard. I grab any equipment I might need, secure the legendary stick, and head off to finally find the stronghold. After traveling for a couple thousand blocks, I found the approximate area of the stronghold and began to dig straight down, where I soon penetrated into the fortress. Now it was time for the hardest part, navigating through this maze of a structure to find the end portal. It's probably going to take me a really long time to actually find the portal room, since these strongholds tend to be very large, just like your mother. Well, never mind, here's the portal room. I set my spawn at the portal just in case I suffer a skill issue, activated the portal, and dove right into the fight ahead. I quickly build my way to the main island and begin to take out the pillars, making sure I don't damage the Ender Dragon in the process. Once the pillars were out, the real reptilian abuse could finally begin. But there was a slight issue. You see, the dragon has these things called wings that keep the lizard in the air, and unless you put a Red Bull in my crusty women-deprived hands, I'm not going to be able to fly anywhere near it, which means I have to sit at this bedrock portal and wait for the goddamn dragon to perch. But I stayed ready, waiting to lay into the dragon with the wrath of a white southern stepdad wielding a bottle of Budweiser and a snakeskin leather belt. It soon came down, and I took my chance to deal damage. Although it seemed painfully ineffective, I was still able to take out almost a third of its health with every rotation, proving that birchwood will forever be the best wood. But yeah, I freed the end from the Hot Topic Komodo dragon, stole its left nut, and made my way back home, where I put up the stick and rested over a hard day's work. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I also want to apologize for taking almost 2 months to release this. I've been dealing with some life issues as well as a funny little thing called writer's block. Pun very much intended. But yeah, thank you guys for being so patient. Y'all mean the world to me, and I hope I helped start off your 2023 in a good way. Also, I know it's late as fuck to announce this, but I'm gonna be at New Orleans FanExpo on January 7th, so if you see me, don't be afraid to say hi. I'd love to chat, take pictures, or even compete in a friendly game of Soggy Biscuit if you'd like. But anyways, I'll see you later. Have a good day.
I put my faith inside an uncaring God's palm. 10 years until my paradigm shifted. DMC dialogue, I ran the walls of my skull until my feet bled black. I'm near the peak, step back, I felt yo